Howdy, 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 howdy. It is Tuesday morning, and I am exhausted. Exhausted. How did I swam? I don't know. Something in the 1750 something meters. And I was only planning to do like 800 to 1,000, but I kind of said, I can go a little farther. I said, well, I'm this close to doing a mile. Might as well go for 16. And then when I was close to 16, I realized I had hit rest at 14:25. I would break. Every time I took a rest, I would hit the brake, but I forgot to start it. I was like, nope, I want my watch to say 1600. So I swam. Well, it was 14:25, so I had to do like an extra 4 laps, full laps. No, I was getting pretty tired, but yeah, so I think I was well over 1700, maybe even close to 18. But that's all right. Good to go. I hadn't swam a full mile in a few weeks, and it feels good. But having a cold and chugging along, I think I'm draining myself too much here. All right, so what am I doing today? Well, here's the rabbit hole I've currently found myself falling into. I'm actually progressing on the player implementations of the simulator. And I decided to try to get, since that's going to require some new objects, new functions and the like. I decided, well, let's try out this Gemini. Now, here's the thing: I'm not paying for Gemini, and I'm not paying for Rue. So I get like 2 questions, two or three questions. I don't know. It's real easy to hit your limit. I mean, it's like nothing. Now, I thought it was like 2 per minute. I don't know. It's not cheaper to use Rucline. I've also used Klein, and I said, well, which one was? It's not Rucline. It's Rucode. It used to be Rucline, and I don't know what the difference is. I've seen a lot of people online using Klein, Rucline, and Klein. Let's see what the difference is. Rucline versus Klein. Let's see what they say, if anybody's got any opinions on this. Okay, so Rucline is not Rucode. These guys say Rucline is better. So let's see what else I say. Rucline, the Klein fork, that's faster, smarter, and better. Rucline, the Klein fork. Rucline versus Klein, the next evolution in AI tools. Okay, well, everybody seems to think it's better, but I will say this: it was broken yesterday for a while. I tried to use it. Just API fails, and then eventually and then finally when I got that to work, it worked for a little bit, and then it started telling me I was hit my limit. And I don't know what the flip over or when you get more. You may only get 1 a day or 2 a day. I don't know. I thought it said, well, on regular Klein it said you had 2 every 2 minutes or something like that. So I thought, well, that's not too bad. That's just, I just got to not go too quickly. But apparently that's not exactly how it works. What are the limits for Rucode? Rucode and Amazon offers very sensitive deep sea still under development. Limited DeepSeek R1 still under development. Model limitations. I haven't tried DeepSeek yet. I don't know if I will. Rucode just fixed Google Gemini 2.5 unlimited free. When was this? 1 day ago. Huh. No, it's not unlimited. I just tried it. I just tried it last night and it blew up. So yeah, that's not. It's not unlimited. I don't know what nonsense he's saying. I mean, last night I did it, and it told me I hit the limit.
I have 3 businesses that are selling on Shopify. Once I figured out that Shopify was a thing, I never turned back. I can create a site with my eyes closed. Shopify thinks ahead of us.
How do I skip?
And it thinks about the customer more than anything. It's just
no
helping
skip on this?
push and drive sales. Every day I'm thinking about some other new business. But Shopify is doing it.
Doesn't even end.
because
It's like
so
it's an
easy to
ongoing,
use.
permanent
It's like I
thing.
can't
It
stop.
doesn't
I'm
have.
addicted. I'm Kiana, and I leveled up my business with Shopify.
Huh. Guess you're stuck listening to the whole thing.
Welcome to this video where we're going to be discussing Rue Code with Gemini 2.5. The reason for this is Rue Code has just added error management for Gemini 2.5, meaning that if you're struggling to build applications completely for free using Gemini, Rue Code might just be the best for you. Now this is going to be a completely unbiased review. I haven't actually tested this yet, but basically I'm going to be running this prompt here, which is my service based website. You can find this prompt in the description of this video. And yeah, we're just going to be running this and seeing how it goes. Now, if you are confused by anything in this video, then definitely check out the school. You can see I've got literally everything from how to set up Visual Studio Code to how to set up Client and Rue Code to install.
So all these people are saying the same thing. It reached
stuff.
limit after 5 minutes. One said I reached my limit.
Some of the things that I'm talking about in this video. First of all, everything is on YouTube for free. You can Google it. You can work it out. You don't have to pay for anything. But if you do want just a quick and easy,
by the way,
laid out everything for you,
vibe coding is,
please
don't do vibe coding. I'm telling you, man, you're going to create some really ugly, messy, terrible apps. And I can tell you right now that vibe coding,
you see here, Rue Code 3.11 released, Rue Code 3.11.
Yes, you can get
API
an app,
balance,
I suppose.
project level MCP.
But the apps you generate are crap. I'm telling you. They're crap. I mean, even if they look kind of cool, they're crap. I've looked at the code that even Gemini 2.5 is creating. All right, so I'm going through my app right now. The more sophisticated the game or the app is, I mean, I guess if you're doing basic apps or apps that don't do anything real complex, it might figure it out. But vibe coding just, it sucks, man. You gotta have some control over your code. You have to learn to observe, read. Basically, I mentioned this before. Here's the thing with coding, okay? With coding with AI. You should be like the lead developer who's trying to help along some really talented, really skilled, very knowledgeable noobs. Noob coders. They understand, they can write the code for days, right? They they type fast, they can, you tell them what to do and they'll write it out, and it'll even be most likely syntax free or syntax error free. Don't just take it for face value. You can't just implement AI on top of your code. If you build an entire app, my entire app has been aided in some way by AI. But I have rewritten, restructured, had to work with AI a number of occasions to refactor code just to make it consistent and look functional and be functional. Oftentimes it creates objects that don't have base objects. You'll get a lot of comments that say, hey, you need to do this or you need to do that. And you can tell it. Look at these and look at that. It says, oh, that already exists. Yeah, I know. That's why I told you to use my entire code base. Even when you give it the entire code base, it still misses things unless you call out specifically these things or that things. And it doesn't. I'll tell you right now, if you name your variables well, Claude is better. Claude can read your variables and understand what they're supposed to be. Gemini struggles with that unless you tell it specifically that this means this variable means that. Even 2.5 Is it writing better code? I don't know, because I don't actually have Claude in my Rue code. And the Copilot, which I've paid for, the editor is terrible. It doesn't do a very good job, so I don't really use it very often. I like the way Rue code will ask you if you actually want the code. You can step through it and tell it which ones you don't want. Like say, for example, if I didn't want this formation added, I can just click this button and it'll move the blank from the old file over, and it'll just release that one. Then you can hit save, and it'll save the items you were willing to keep. This is a Rue code, or a Rue code Gemini 2.5 build. And basically, what I asked it to do was to help me along. This is like the third prompt, and I've done a number of things so far. But what I'm basically getting it to do is assist in creating my execute route step function. Now, what the route step does in the FPFM, what it's going to do is it'll go through the routes of each player, the defined routes that are created when I create the play, and it reads through each action. Now, my system is set up in such a way that as each step goes through, certain actions might not change until they've completed a move sequence. So I have to get this thing to kind of work through and move everybody. So you got 22 characters 22 players on the field, right? You got 11 defense, 11 offense. And as each player progresses, certain things are going to happen or not happen at each stage. So, like say, for example, you got an offensive running back who's been set to motion. He's going to move to a spot, maybe a receiving position. And then the quarterback, then as a motion, that's like pre-play stuff, right? So it's any play that has a motion. So you're going to have all these things that have to happen in various sequences of the play. So what's going to happen is you have all these definitions in place, and every space has to occur in a certain order. So it's going to create this entire play progress log into an array. It's saving it to the database, but it's holding it also. And it's going to send that entire thing back to the UI once the play is complete. And then the UI is going to basically read all of the commands that are in that play progress log and make the players do what that is, and hopefully it can make things look smooth while it's doing it, right? So it's going to have these actions that just have it do whatever it does, and it's going to run each step. Now, I don't know for sure how UI is going to work. Is it going to look choppy? Is it going to be able to function fast enough that you can't see the basically pauses that are going on? Because they're pauses, right? It's going to read each step, and it's got to read all 22 players. Now, granted, it's doing this at computer speed. It's, how many gajillions of reads can it do in a second? But it has to get them, execute them, and move on to the next one, while always trying to smooth it out. And then, so this function is going to have to go through every route step, I'm calling them. That's the action. It's basically a step in the player's movement. It covers more than a step. The average step or run or whatever is about a yard, right? So I think mine are set up to be something around 2.5 yards. I don't know, something like that. And I can adjust that by adjusting my grid counts or my range counts. If I feel like I want it to be more precise or less precise or whatever, I could adjust the grid. But that's not really the objective here. What I really want to do is define the actions that need to take place. So Gemini, in my last run, it actually created the easy part, was creating a parent function in my simulator. And it actually decided where to put it. I was going to think it was going to go inside of my route actions. Okay, so I see route actions.go here. I had it create all of my stubs. These are all the actions that a player can take during the course of a route. Everything from move to release. Did it not create my motion? Where's motion? you know, it's possible I hadn't actually put motion in yet. Oh, and I don't think it was, yeah, I didn't put motion in. So I have a seed data here. Oops, wrong one. Game plan has route actions. And I put in this last one last night. And it's not even the only one. I was trying to think of pre-snap actions that can take place. And one is motion. But, and then I don't know what the difference between a shift and a motion is. But motion is you run across. Shift, I think, is typically a multiplayer thing, so I think really I would just implement it as a motion. But I was trying to think of any other pre-play actions. Yeah, but anyway, I got to go create a stub for motion. So move is the last one I created. Move is a standard action, but I just put it down last because I was creating all these other items. So let's go put in my route action. It didn't put it in. I don't know why. Probably because either it wasn't in the database, or maybe it was only reading from my. Actually, I don't know why how it determined not to put that in. I thought it was using seed data. Maybe my seed data wasn't saved. No, wait. It's possible I hadn't saved it with my motion. Route action. Oh yeah, look, I don't even have it saved. That's probably part of it. Let's save all my files. That's probably why I missed it. Because I've noticed code won't read. Code will not read your unsaved code. It's reading the saved code. So if you make a change on AI and then you ask it to do something, it'll like go, oh, I need to fix this. It's like, oh, no, that's already done. I just didn't save. Motion. And these are all just basic steps. This was easy, right? I just told it to stub out all the items because each one of these is going to have some special effect. And I'll have to either work with AI to define what one of these is each time we hit it. But I was thinking that the controller for these actions would be here as well. AI thought it'd be better to put it in with the play, which makes it kind of an action controller for the route action types. I said, fine. It makes sense. I mean, it is kind of the controller, right? I mean, did we even create this? I may have still. It tried to give me the how it wanted to implement the controller, I'm calling it the execute route step, but it wasn't good. This is what I'm talking about. If you just take AI for what it says and just assume that it's going to get it right, you're going to be, the more complex your app is, you're going to be disappointed. Don't expect AI to do it all. I mean, it can do it with multiple iterations, even if you give it pretty decent calls, right? You know, you're giving it pretty decent requests, and it has your code base. First thing I do is I like to have AI read my code base. Just kind of tell me what it knows, what it can figure out. And you can get a feel for how smart is the AI. And then you can kind of guess to see what it's going to do. Okay, so the last question I asked it, it asked me a question, to be honest. It goes, all right, so we have modify the objects. It asked me where I wanted to put it, and then I gave it some extra information of what I wanted. So it's interesting that it'll ask questions before it does stuff, which is good. I like that, but I don't know if that could just be a Rue code thing, right? So again, it's back to editing my playbook proto. Let's go see what it's doing. The item it did. Here's the playbook proto. Okay, so here it's adding the formation to my play, which is fine. A formation is is an array. That's why I'm trying to see. Oh, positions. The positions repeat. Oh, okay. It's the name. All the formation is the name of the formation, the ID, and the name, and whether or not it's an offensive or defensive formation, and that's only for filtering on the front end, so that we can kind of get all the offensive formations at once. And then we have repeated positions, which means we create a position for everyone on the position on the formation. And then the positions are, where does the player sit? What's the player position, lineup position, and position group. The player position is like wide receiver, tight end, blah, blah, blah. Lineup position is its grid location that it's going to sit at. Position group is, okay, so wide receivers are a group. Running backs are a group. Linemen are a group. So those are position groups. The point of that is to allow you to have like categories, I guess, for people to be put into. It allowed me to also have a little control over certain actions. Like if he's in the lineman group, he can't be 5 yards down the field, during a play, because it'll be ineligible receiver, right? So I want to be able to have if possible, every single error every single penalty that the NFL has can technically occur in the game. So that's even the obscure ones, things that you wouldn't normally expect to see, ineligible man downfield. I don't know how accurate Madden is, or any of these other football games, as to what they have, and they might just randomly call things like holding or blah blah blah, but you've got to also get it fairly accurate. For me though, it's not going to be random. It is random, but it's based on skill levels and stats and things that the players have, and of course they have to be doing that particular action, and I'm going to try to adjust it to the likelihood of such things happening. Decent guys, or some players that get a lot of penalties or holding calls or whatever it is, will maybe get penalties fairly often. Maybe they're good at blocking, but they also happen to be pretty good at getting caught holding guys. Maybe that's why they're so good. But you got to have all that logic in place. And so each of my actions, including the block action, will have its own tests for things like holding and success, and it's up against whoever they're blocking, who might be pretty good at getting out of blocks. Like you got a top linebacker hitting your top blocker, pass blocker, and he's going to break through sometimes, because that's what good linebackers do. But if you have a bad linebacker who's not very good at sacking people, he may not break the block very often. He might just get caught up in the block on a regular basis. If there's one thing that swimming a lot will do to you, it makes you hungry. And my stomach is growling at me, so I need that. It's kind of interesting how these work. There's like a foil in here that seals it up, and then you have to turn this, and it has these little like plastic lips under there, and as you twist it, it rips the foil. So I'm not even sure how they do that. How do they get the foil? Yeah, it's a complicated little... Actually, no, it turns a little piece of plastic. It turns a little piece of plastic underneath it that has these little lips that those little hooks grab onto. And it has little ridges on the bottom like teeth. And it cuts as that little piece of plastic turns, it rips the foil. But I'm curious how the heck they do that. Because how do you not have the foil ripped when you put the foil in close enough to the teeth that they rip? I don't know. It does make it hard to drink sometimes, though, because the drink gets blocked by the... You almost have to move that foil out of the way. I mean, if you want to drink it slow, I guess that'll temper the flow, but all right. So anyway, I'm trying out Gemini 2.5. I've always been a Claude / Anthropic fan. 3.7 has been my go-to for the last several weeks since it came out. And I'm very impressed with Claude. In fact, I have so far not been overly impressed. The one thing I like about this Rucode versus, I'm saying Rucode versus Claude, or using Copilot, Rucode versus Copilot, is it's way better at doing the code part. I haven't been as impressed with the code part of Copilot, because they have Copilot edits, and it's just not very good. And so I end up just copy pasting, you know, having it generate the code, and then I move it into my code, which is fine. It allows me to test it. Here I like this though, when it does it, and then I get to compare to what it's doing. Like, this is all new. It's adding route assignments. So it's connecting to my route, and these are the route actions. Play ID might not be needed here if context is known. Why would I need... So I don't have play type here. Why are we doing... Did I not actually put route and route action in here? Got route actions. Route action type. Then we're going to add the formation, which is fine. I have formation ID, and I think I was just fetching the formation based on the ID. My thought is, do I need... I guess I do. I didn't even think about it for some reason. I was thinking, why do I need the formation? I have the route actions and the route actions, but the route actions don't actually tell you where a player starts. If the route actually had the initial starting point, I wouldn't need the formation, because it would just give you the starting point. In fact, I'm thinking I might add every route will have the starting point. And then I don't really need the formation then. Now, there could be multiple plays of formations. Like, the formation is the setup, and then it just adds a bunch of routes to the play, and then the play has, and then you define the route actions that come after. I could even build the play with the base count of the route action. I wonder if you even need... Yeah, because it's the definition of the initial route for a play. So I could have all these routes, but I would still need the definition as to which routes to use. And every route is unique for the play, so I have to create a new route for every time we generate, because you could have totally different routes for each formation, but they're all going to have the same, for each play that uses that formation, but it'd be a totally different route, or it could be a totally different route. So, but I don't know. I still think we can get away with route assignments only without formation ID. A formation ID just allows me to formation ID just allows me to like grab all the, like if I'm doing a play selection based on formation ID, based on the formation, I could just like, okay, well, give me all of the formations, all the plays that are for I formation. And I can look this up, and then it'll grab all the plays that have the same ID. But I don't think I need the formation. All right. If we use route assignments is the player position, the route ID, and the route. I'm going to take this out. And then I'm going to say, okay. And then if we just use the route assignments and I tell it that I will have the starting position of every player, the player position, the route ID, and the route. And then the route will have the actions. And that means I need to have a route action called lineup. And every player will have a lineup starting position. Yeah. Player position. Route ID. Oh, but we don't have lineup position. Lineup positions is player position, lineup position, and position group. I still don't know. What did I do with position group? What was my intent? I know I said it was about having... I think I had some thought. I'm going to keep it in there. I think it has some point in grouping certain types of players together. Like if I want to say something for all linebackers, I can grab everybody who's a linebacker. Or defensive backs, which defensive backs are basically everybody who's not a lineman, right? I mean, technically. You got CBs, linebackers, free safeties, safeties. Those guys are all DBs. You might not call a linebacker a DB. It could just be CBs, FCs, and SSs, but I don't know. I think position groups are basically meant for me to like find all the linemen, offensive linemen. Well, that's the position group OL. I got a DL, which is all of those guys. It just allows me to handle them and manage them in groups. I know I said this before, but just saying, clearing it out in my head. But yeah, I think route assignments. We have route ID. Do I need... embed the route details into the route assignment, but do we... route assignment. What is the route assignment? Oh, route assignment are the... You know what? I'm wondering if I'm over micronizing this. You know what? I don't even have my my chat up. let me open my chat. That would probably be good. It's easier to talk to people when I've got my chat running. I just realized I'm looking at it going, why is there a big black square in my stream screen? It's because I don't have big black. Well, my background is mostly black, and usually I have it pretty much covered up by my my OBS stuff. And I just realized that the area that normally has a chat is missing something. Oh, the chat. All right, let's go to the next thing. So here's me debating with AI as to whether or not this is the best solution. Ariano, it's been a step. How you doing, man? You're on Twitch today. Aren't you normally on YouTube? I mean, I could be. Yeah, that's what I thought. I figured as much. Oops, what did I just do? Okay, so I was just working with my Gemini 2.5 here and trying to make sure that what it's doing is not gonna break. Oh, well, you thinking I need my music on, my my background music? Let's go look at what I was doing last time. Let's see. Clear. What is it? What was it? Oh, copyright. Copyright free music. Hip hop. Minecraft. Lo-fi. Instrumental. Upbeat. Upbeat. Let's look at some upbeat. What is a upbeat? Free inspiration. Copyright free music. How long is that? It's got to be long enough to be worth my time. How long? Yeah. Oh, that's not even worth it. It's only two minutes. I'll be changing that every couple of seconds, man. You know, I have noticed that a lot of the copyright-free music is little more than a synthesizer. No, you can't. It'll block you out, man. It'll give me a copyright strike if I play music that's not good and that doesn't meet their copyright-free. And then if I get 3 copyright strikes, they ban me for some period of time. What the heck? What kind of weird music are you leading me on to? Whistle Podu. Okay, let's see if this is. Whistle Podu. Whistle Podu lyrical video, the greatest of all time. Free interactive calculus lessons. in the same search. Whistle Podu, the greatest of all time. Yeah, but these are singular things. They're only like 4 minutes long. I need long run things because I don't want to mess with this all day. I can't be messing with music constantly. Oh, huh. Most of these are just videos. I don't really necessarily want. I don't need a video.
The website, build it. I actually hate that part. But anytime I need a new site for a business idea or venture, I use Bluehost. I realize that I need to spend my time on the parts of the business I'm best at, like the creative stuff. Bluehost's AI design tools are making better sites than I ever could. Not to mention the sites have digital marketing tools and e-commerce functionality built in. Check out Bluehost and see how it can simplify your process.
That's a 4-minute thing, man. I did something to my back, man. Whistle Podu. I don't know what the right song is. It's Whistle Podu. You said Whistle Podu. It's only 1:37, that one. Nope, that's not even a thing. You're distracting me from getting work done, man. All right,
Start the whistles.
Well, I'm sure. Isn't India like? Oh, this is India, right? I don't know. But I don't watch cricket, man. I don't know anything about cricket. I mean, I know that it looks like baseball with a bad pitcher. It's like if a baseball pitcher kept throwing the ball at the ground, he'd lose his job.
Chennai Super Kings ka
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Well. Huh. Alright, well. I gotta get some actual work done, so I can't do this all day. Alright, so let's go find some royalty or copyright free music, background music, hip hop, lo-fi. I don't know how to spell copyright apparently. Beats, copyright beats don't mean anything. That's just music. Let's see, YouTube music for YouTube videos. Music for YouTube videos. Because I don't copy. Too many T's. Jazz. Jazz is too slow. The problem is a lot of this background music is just slow. Let's see what R&B sounds like when it doesn't have lyrics. These are only 20-minute long. Music, R&B music for vlogs. Drake, Aleha, Ben. 40 minutes. 40 minutes ain't bad. It's not 12 hours.
Architecture and interior design?
Copyright Kumbaya.
Today. Fiverr. Start now.
Kumbaya, my love. Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my love. Kumbaya. I don't think that's the right song, but that's a... Oh, there's actually words. It says it's free, non-copyright music, R&B music for blogs. That's what it says. See, look. Apparently, song number 8 is bad news. Yeah, you can kind of tell synth music. I don't want to try to figure out which one is number 8. I don't want to get copyrighted. Copyright struck. They're gonna strike me. Alright, let's just go with lame stuff. I would just listen to oldies. If I could play anything, I'd be listening to oldies. 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe some 80s, which isn't really, I mean, it's old. I guess everything's old. I like that style of music. I was raised on my parents used to always play oldies when I was a kid, and I didn't know who any of those people were, but they were. I liked the music, so I'd listen to it all the way until as an adult, even now. I like I like some of the current music, but I'm not a big hip hop guy. I don't like a lot of the language and chunks that they use in those things, but. And Elvis Presley. I gotta say, man, even now, the guy, I mean, he could sing any song and make it sound good. It didn't matter what he sang. He could sing any song. It's interesting though, because a lot of Michael Jackson was pretty good too. Michael Jackson, he was good at writing unique songs, coming up with stuff that sounded pretty unique, and he was talented at singing them. His talent was a lot in the creativity and the dancing and the flash and singing and coming up with good unique songs. Now, as you know, Elvis Presley didn't write any of his own songs. In fact, I don't think he wrote a single one. So somebody with talent like Elvis Presley could not make it nowadays. If Elvis Presley had been born 30 years later, he would have never became the star that he was, because music is so easy to get out there now that people don't need to go find a really good vocal artist, because there's a lot of people who can sing out there. So if they get music, they just sing it themselves. They don't need to go writing a song for other people. Back in the day when Elvis Presley was around, songwriters, it was hard to break into the industry. You needed somebody with talent and big name to actually break into the industry. So they would try to sell Elvis Presley on doing their songs. And of course, he was so talented, he could make any song work. And a lot of individual vocal artists struggle to make songs sound good beyond their first. Not all of them. I mean, there are some current people that are still going. I mean, Taylor Swift has been cranking out songs forever. Yeah, well, that's the rumor. Milli Vanilli, they had a great album. It's too bad that not all of it was their own. They disappeared for sure. That killed them. Yeah. No, they had a very good album. It was a great album, but it was unfortunately not all them singing. Some of it was. I mean, they actually came, after that whole debacle, they actually tried to release a song where it was just them singing. Most people wouldn't even give it the time of day because these guys are already proven to be frauds, right? And I heard some of the songs. They were okay. I mean, I think a lot of it was the writing was terrible, but they knew how to sing. They just didn't sing that entire album, and some of the songs were definitely somebody else's. Nowadays, you could almost make it on your own without needing somebody like Milli Vanilli to cover up your, to sing for you. And that's the thing. If you didn't have your own talent, if you didn't have the full range of talent, you could make it. Nowadays, you kind of have to have the full range. The people who are making it in the music industry now are people who write their own songs, because now they can, if they know how to sing, they write their own songs and then they can just keep putting stuff out. But if you're relying on getting songs from other people, you're gonna struggle, because a lot of times people just aren't selling their songs anymore. They just do them themselves and release it on the internet. And if it becomes popular, they give some, they can just do their own thing. There's a few, but I think it's possible, though. It's a lot easier to get music out into the real world. A really good song sang by a talented singer will make it, regardless of anything. People will discover it, and because it's on the internet, if it's really good, they're going to go, oh, You know, hey, this got a good song. It's going to get out there because you're hitting people. You got to, but the thing is, you got to build up a channel. You've got to do the work, right? You got to build up a channel a little bit. And then you have to, you know, have enough followers so that you have a better chance of getting what do you call it? Now, yes, a big star can make a crap song popular. This is true. If you're already a big star. But I'm talking about not a crap song. I'm just saying a song that probably wouldn't make it if it was some nobody singing it, right? I mean, think about even Elvis Presley sang some songs that were kind of but it was Elvis Presley, so people bought it and listened to it. I mean, you know, some of them were not necessarily the best lyrical songs, but now I will say he sang some songs. There are a few songs that Elvis Presley sang that I think the originals were still better, or even other versions were better. Unchained Melody, I'm sorry, man, the Righteous Brothers, they own that song. Now he did a good cover, but to be honest, you know, the Righteous Brothers version wasn't the best one either, or wasn't the first one. They aren't the original owners of it, but they are the version of Unchained Melody that everybody refers to. It is the ultimate. It is the best. And I haven't heard a song version that even Elvis Presley's version, which was good, wasn't as good as theirs. And there's a few songs like that. I mean, you know, you can only do so many different things. I mean, he sang a lot of songs that a lot of people sang. And, you know, there were other versions that were probably just as good. But, you know, Elvis Presley. So, I like the Beatles. If you look at, like, you know, the records and who owns all of the biggest hits, you know, the Beatles and Elvis are probably two of the biggest. The Eagles have had a lot of big records and stuff like that. But here's the thing about the Beatles versus Elvis Presley. And it was always a big, you know, comparison. You know, hey, who was more popular? Who did more? Blah, blah, blah. But he was an individual. He did not have 3 to 4 singers that could sing the songs, which allows you for a lot more variety, right? You have 2 super talented writers on the same band. You've got 2 great singers, along with everybody else in the group could also sing. You know, you got even Harrison and Ringo could sing well enough. So they had a lot of options in the Beatles. They could really mix it up and come up with different stuff. And even with just 2 good singers, you know, in McCartney and Lennon, they could do a ton. But it was always Elvis, and it was just Elvis. And yet he could compete with those guys. Yeah, they probably had a few more albums, a few more records, a few more things. But again, it wasn't one person. It's kind of like 4-on-1, and the one was competitive. And that's an impressive feat. Michael Jackson was also, you know, he was considered one of the better individual artists of all time as well. But even he only had, you know, he wasn't quite at that range. You know, dying early didn't help. He didn't get his last album done or whatever he was working on. Who knows what he would have come up with in that. He was getting up there in age, and you know, there was a lot of controversy with him, right? Because people didn't know for sure his backstory. You know, there was rumors of this and rumors of that, and even trials, and just things enough that you got people, you know, having their doubts in what he did. Well, you know, he was like O.J. Simpson, right? He got off. He was acquitted. Now, most people think O.J. Simpson was acquitted and he shouldn't have been. I mean, that's just 90% of people. There was enough evidence to make you feel like he probably did it. Michael Jackson, on the other hand, I think when he was acquitted, wasn't fully acquitted in the eyes of people either, but it was a lot more people were in doubt. There's evidence to show that. Here's the thing about Michael Jackson. I think his issue was he just never really grew up. He never had a childhood. He never had and I like I said, I think his issue was that he liked hanging out with kids because he was immature himself. He liked being a kid. And I don't think it had anything to do with sexuality, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, what do I know, right? And this is why I think that he got himself in trouble, though. As he aged out of being a kid, his time spent with kids became very suspect. But if you ever saw interviews of him, even as he got older, he was childish. I mean, he had a childish air about him, and it was like he never really matured. And I think that was his problem. That was his negative in the eyes of the public. So I think a lot of the things that he did in spending time with kids so much, or even, the kids that they accused him of, I don't know. I think a lot of it might have been innocent. I don't know. I mean, I give him the benefit of the doubt, but ultimately, God's going to decide, right? I mean, whatever is the punishment for whatever he did or not, he'll make that decision. That's for him. That's for God to decide. And ultimately, our place is just to kind of go, we can only do so much. Yeah, but what's weird about Ashley Simpson is she didn't do anything that probably 60-70% of artists haven't done. She just got really caught. I mean, it was just a really bad screw up on her part. And I think a lot of artists, a lot of big name artists, do what she did. Right? Isn't she? She's the one. She got caught for people noticing that. Yeah, I mean that her that she was lip syncing, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't even tell you or I'd probably recognize maybe one or two songs of hers. I mean, I think what killed her wasn't even that. It's just that for what little she had done to have that happen, she hadn't built up enough cred to get past it. And I think she just didn't have enough talent to break out of it. I think there's people out there, like I said, I think a lot of big name artists do some amount of lip syncing. They have to, because stadiums are really hard to sing in. And if you really think about a lot of the stuff these guys are doing on stage, it's probably pretty hard to not sound winded or not be, there's got to be a certain amount of overlap. It's not that they can't sing the song or that they don't sing it perfectly well. It's just that when they're doing all these weird acrobatics on the stage, it's hard to sing and not sound winded or breathe hard into the mic. I mean, there's things you can do, but there's some stuff those guys are doing. You're like, how do they do that and not be lip syncing? So I have a feeling that they might have parts of songs, maybe while they're doing certain things that kind of kick in, or maybe those songs are in sync with them. They're playing, they do well at making the, they have good, what do they call them? Roadies. They have good electronics people who know how to keep things kind of in line and sync, and they're watching and they're making sure that the pieces that are supposed to be played at certain points and it's coordinated with their artist. So the artist is, okay, I'm not singing at this point because I'm jumping around on stage, but then I'm going to pick back up when I'm doing this, and it allows it to remain smooth. I think that's my belief. I don't know how they actually do it. I could be full of crap, so ignore me. I'm just impressed by guys who can sing and jump around on stage doing some of the stuff that they're doing. And it's like, how do you do that and actually keep the words without sounding winded? No, I did not. Yeah, I heard Ziegler was getting decent reviews. I hadn't heard anything about Gal Gadot. I just know that people were saying it was not a good movie overall. People, I don't know. Gal Gadot did a good job as Wonder Woman. I thought she was a good Wonder Woman. When I first saw her and they said she was going to be Wonder Woman, I was like, oh no, that is not a good choice. But I thought the same thing about Michael Keaton when they first said he was going to be Batman way back in the 80s. And I was like, Michael Keaton? Comedian? And I looked at him and I'm going, that is not a Batman. That guy cannot play Batman for nothing. And I says, that is so bad. It's going to be a terrible movie. And then I'm like, oh, well, he's pretty good. He actually did a pretty good job as Batman. And over the years, I learned to realize that Michael Keaton's got some pretty good range. That guy can sing in just about anything. While Roger Moore was the most unique James Bond. He was the James Bond. He had more humor. He was more lighthearted. He seemed to really kind of just have more fun with the part. I thought Roger Moore was one of my favorites too for a long time. And was he the best? It really depends on what you're looking for in your James Bond, right? A lot of people thought he was kind of cheesy because he was kind of, like I said, his versions of James Bond were a little bit more comedic. But he did pretty well. Well, Jaws is funny nowadays because we see all of the hokiness about it. But when it first came out, what I'm told is it was considered pretty terrifying. And I could kind of see if you haven't seen better movie stuff and you realize how fake that shark was. And you start learning the comparisons, and they call out, over time, they start calling out all of the weirdnesses and the lines, and you're like, huh, yeah, I guess that is kind of a goofy movie. But at the time, you didn't have time to consider that stuff. Still, I think it's a pretty good movie even now. Did it hold up? Probably not, but oh, are you talking about Jaws, the evil villain in James Bond? The guy with the real big guy with the serious braces? Is that who you're talking about? I thought you were talking about Jaws the movie. Aryan Supremacy movie. I don't know if I know that. But, yeah. Okay, I thought you were talking about the movie Jaws. But, yeah. The other guy that was pretty iconic in James Bond is the Asian dude with the hat. He used to throw it. It had a blade, so would he throw it and he'd kill people with his hat? And it was boomerang, so he'd throw it, slice somebody, kill him or whatever, and the hat would come back to him and he'd put it back on his head. That was pretty good. He was pretty iconic for a long time too. Him, Jaws. They had a few iconic villains. I can't think of all of them right now. But yeah, they had a few. I'll tell you this though. James Bond, Roger Moore's movies, the titles, boy, they pushed their luck with those titles, man. I always remember, was it Octopussy? I feel bad just saying the name, and it's the name of a movie. I feel like I'm gonna get a warning on Twitch or something. I know there's some people who cuss a lot on Twitch, but I try not to. But to me, that's like, I feel like I'm cussing or I'm saying something that's kind of racy just to say the title of that movie. And I'm like, in the 80s, I think it was the 80s that movie came out. And I'm like, really? It's like, how did he get away with the title of that movie? And they had a couple of movies that were kind of like that. Mission Impossible is, yeah, but the thing is, they rely on one star, right? I mean, it's all Tom Cruise. So his days are coming. I mean, his action days are he's probably getting a little long in the tooth for that. So if Mission Impossible is going to be a long-standing thing, like, well, that's the rumor, right? This next movie's his last. But I don't know. Has he actually said that, or are they just saying that it might be last? Is it really the end, or is it just the end for him? Are they finally going to find a new person to take on the Mission Impossible actions? We had the Bourne series with Matt Damon. A lot of people thought that was going to become a long-term thing, but it kind of fizzled out. Supposedly, Matt Damon says he's up for another one. I think the premise of the Bourne movies kind of peters out. Because it's like, yeah, but you can't keep doing the same thing. It's got to have a good, what's your continuation of that? You know, at first it was, you can't be on the outs forever, right? I mean, how long can you do that? Eventually, you got to be, somebody's got to be helping you. See this? I hate this bouncy back and forth thing. It makes me sick. Stop it.
Should I switch to Monday CRM? Updating this field is so confusing. The CRM sucks. Is it me?
Fast and Furious.
Asking for too much? Or is it time to stand
Yeah,
up and be slow?
I like the
Hey,
Fast and
CRM.
Furious movies, but I haven't seen them all. I got the complete set when
We
it was
will
like
unite
6.
in our common
So I'm like,
interests.
what, 4 behind now?
CRM that doesn't take forever to create a report.
Um,
A CRM
and yeah, that
lets
one
you
can
map
keep
the
going,
entire
but
field
only, I mean,
without having to wait forever for an
you got to start transitioning into new people eventually. I mean, it can go on for a while longer because,
I ask for a
you know, The
CRM that
Rock
won't
and
force him to manually update
what's his
every
face are
single
both still
field.
pretty young enough. I mean, The Rock, you know, The Rock is my age. I mean, he's literally the same age I
And
am.
it'll actually
He's,
help us work faster.
I think he's
Perhaps it's
55,
fate
same age I am.
that today is the last day of the quarter. And we will once again be fighting to meet
So,
quotas because of a CRM
you know.
that is ruining our
Hey, Wrinkly
lives.
Fruit, how you doing, man?
But should we find a CRM that works for us?
I'm doing good.
Not
I'm doing
against
good.
us.
Except I'm trying to
Our
get this
work
stupid
will
ad to
no
go away
longer
so I
be
can listen
known
to the
as
music.
Slow, repetitive, or confusing, but as efficient, faster, and better. Dan.
Dakota Fanning. You know, I don't know if I saw Man on Fire, but I have seen Dakota Fanning, and I saw her as a kid, and she was pretty good. She was a pretty talented actor.
Pipelines, you name it. I believe. I need to hear more.
Come on, how long is this commercial?
I think you're gonna
That's a
love
long commercial,
I've
204.
automated almost every part of my team's work. Plus, using AI, you wouldn't believe how much time we save every day with features
So a
like
lot of this music that they give you, the 12-hour free stuff, is just synthesizer. I should get my cousin to make me something. Alright, so my cousin does synth music, and he actually has done some pretty good stuff. He actually made an album. But it's like, he's using a synthesizer too. Oh, see this? If I turn this on, I'd get motion sick. I mean, I have to make it go away. Oh, God, why does it? Oh, yeah, that's gonna bug me. I don't like that. That's not gonna work. Come on, we need something different. Let's try this one. I don't know what that is. I think that's just like a... Is that like a... you know, are you a moderator for something, for Twitch, or what is that? How did you get that crown? Or is it maybe you're a... He might be like a mega subscriber or something and earned it. Yeah, he must have some kind of a Twitch status that makes him get a special icon. Well, it's easy going, but it's better than nothing. And I get it. It'll go for 12 hours. You got peanuts to pay, or that's more than I have. I don't even have any peanuts. Yeah, for 12 hours, I won't be online for 12 hours. I could play that on the loop. And, anyway, so let's see what I got. Let's go ahead and accept this. I decided that I'm going to go ahead and keep the route stuff. I took out the object here. I need to give it a little bit more information, though. I think I am going to set my routes so they don't, so they have a start point. To add context, switch modes, hold shift to track. Add context? FPFM. Can I do multiple? Like, I mean, it is kind of being smart. So I can go PFFM, go MS. How does it know that I'm not? Huh. See, it's like let me do the sub objects, but it won't let me do. Oh, here we go. Web. Here we go. PFFM, go MS. Yeah, that just allows me to give it a little bit more stuff. I don't even know what URA is. Universal Russian Application Army. I don't know. It probably is something army, huh? Ow. My back. I got like a knot or something in my back, and it's driving me bonkers. I need to lie on a tennis ball. Put it right under my shoulder blade. I don't know what's going on. So every time I take a deep breath, it expands my back, and it just... I don't know what I did. Probably doing my pull-ups or something the other day. I probably strained something. Alright, so... let's go ahead and save this for now. Current ask promise was ignored. See, this is the problem with using RU code, or any of them. There's a limit to how much you can actually enter. I don't even know what this means. Current ask promise was ignored. Huh? It is assigned to. As additional context, a route will have the starting position. The player position is assigned to it as the first route action. It is called So let's actually put it in there so I don't lie. We got to go to my playbook here, and let's see, playbook, see data, and then we have my route action types. We're going to create a 29th option. And this will be lineup. And this is any. The biggest milestone, the most recent biggest milestone, because every, depending on what you're doing and where you're at in the app, you have big milestones that are the biggest milestone as of that moment, right? Because you're like, oh, I got my first big milestone was getting my microservices working in the first, in Go. And that was huge because I had never worked on Go, so it was a big deal. And I hadn't even heard of Go before I started. So getting a microservices working that I could actually call from the front end was, oh, thank you, was a huge, big deal. But now, I've got that service going. Each new thing is great. My most recent big milestone for the game's purposes is I finally got all of my 10 planned microservices built. Now they aren't 100% functional. I mean, they have things I need to finish developing, and I'm like, I got to get the player portions of the simulator going. But I've got them built, and they're able to be called, and they're interacting with other services, and they all got to a point of compiling. Now, granted, I keep breaking them because I'm adding new stuff, and that breaks code until you get it fixed, until you get the new pieces in place. But that was a pretty big milestone, and that was my most recent big milestone, getting all that going. My very first big milestone was getting the POC going, where I just had the app creating a game that ran back and forth. It was using random numbers, but I actually had a React application that was generating a game and looked good. It was creating scores and tracking who had the ball, and it would keep track of time. I mean, all that stuff. When that was kind of done, or even in its current state, that was a huge milestone. That's like, ooh, this is cool. Now let's make it actually, usable. Add some cool features, adding more into it. Start making it so you can edit and add stuff. So I've had a lot of milestones that I'm happy about. The first iteration of the game plan, getting that finished. The first iteration of, it's real use. The thing is, running a game is great, right? But you want to have the gamification of this, right? When you first create the game, the football game that's running, well, that's fine, but there's no game there. I mean, no game for the user. Yes, there's a simulation of a football game, but you're not doing nothing. So ultimately, the first usable piece that a person could actually put into the game was the game plan. And once that was done, I was like, hey, cool, now I can actually put stuff in, and it stores to the database, and I can call it back up, and then I've been adding more and more to that. And then I got the play editor working, which, by the way, I keep telling people, probably not going to be a first release feature to the game is the play editor. I'm going to use it to create plays, but it's because I know what I'm expecting and what the plays need to be done, and it's not 100%. I'm not going to spend a lot of time creating all the rules and to show people how to do it correctly, because the play editor is an extra thing, and maybe later on I'll refine it, make it a little bit more user friendly, but it works really cool. I go in there, I can select formations, it loads them up, I can select the routes, set the route actions for every player, and it takes it and saves it to the database, and then I can call those back up. And once I define all those, then I can start doing this, which is what I've done. I've defined all the definitions of what a play can have in it, what the routes can have in it. And now I'm working on the code that's going to say, okay, well, let's read those route actions. Let's find out what these players need to do. And each tool or each function will go through and execute as the play progresses. So yeah, each day or every so often I get to a point where I'm like, ooh, hey, I got this working, or I got that working, and I got all these little milestones, which are pretty big, all pretty big deals to me anyway. I'll tell you though, the POC was proof of concept. It was nothing. It was literally nothing. I mean, as far as the final vision of the game, all it was proving to myself that I could create a simulator that would simulate a game in much the same way you see a lot of these other management football games doing. And it's like, you know, they have a bar that moves up and down. Well, I created two at a football, and they move up and down the field. You'd have to look at some of my older videos to see it because I have them. It's all out there. But and then, you know, as they move down, it keeps track of where they are, what down is it, and so yeah. I mean, ultimately, that's kind of where the game is going to be at some point, the simulation portion. But it's not the it doesn't have any back-end engine to it. I want to have this be on Android, right? And then having the game plan and the play editor, and having once I upload all the player stats that I can, you know, have all my formulas built, those will go in, and then all of a sudden those players can now be assigned to positions, and then we're getting close to actually having a full-blown game, right? So how far am I from that? Having my players in with their actions, with them being assigned to a play, and having their actions affect the outcome of a given play. Well, that's what April's about. Will I get it done? Probably not. But as I keep plugging through in April here, my goal is to get a lot of these move actions in place, a lot of the player stuff in place, and start seeing a full simulation code thread completed, so I can actually see what's happening. Now, granted, will it be 100% functional? Probably not, and I don't have any UI for it yet. I'm just getting the back-end stuff working, and then my only UI parts right now, which by the way is another pretty cool milestone, my first streamer feature, the ability to add teams to a starting game. I have. I wish I could show it, but because things are kind of in a. You'd have to go back to last week sometime, one of my earliest development pieces. But you could actually go in. You select the simulator screen, and it takes you to a screen. What kind of game are you running? And right now, the only option is POC, which is my original proof of concept. And then the other option is streamer. And when you click streamer, a dialog pops up that says, you know, waiting for teams. And you could put in anybody who has the path could then type in the URL and say, I want to put in the Broncos or the Bears or whatever. And as you put one in, it's listening, and it captures that and puts it in, and it'll load it as the first team. And then when the second person comes along, enters in a team, it'll capture that, put it in as the second team, and it'll start the simulation. And that's where I'm at. I'm trying to create it so that I can run the simulation. But I've been pulling myself down the rabbit hole of doing more than just activating the game. I actually want to make it so that the players, the players are in there and all that stuff. So. Nav meshes, or waypoint based system. You mean like some games use A for precision, but that can be heavy for fast movement. Okay. A for precision. I don't know what. Okay, so my game, all right, just to kind of give you a feeling, if you don't know, if you haven't heard already, my game is a simulation, not a play game. I'm not building Madden. This is not going to be a Madden game. It's not going to even be Retro Bowl or Super Tiny Football, where you control one guy which you're basically controlling the quarterback, right? Hand it off. The super tiny football, the running game there is no running game. It's passing. You can hand it off, but if you get more than a yard, I'm impressed. But if you throw the ball to somebody, it's basically a retro ball where you control and you can throw it to different players. That's minimal. There's no defense at all. The defense doesn't even exist on the board. It exists for visual purposes, but you can't execute and control it. But what I'm saying is when the other team has the ball, there's no visuals at all. It just does it, and then it's back to the regular game. The closest thing I would say that I'm shooting for as far as how the game runs, as far as visually going, and by the way, mine will have a lot more variety, but visually, think Big Win Football on Android. So you don't run the game, you don't control anybody on the field, but the game is simulating the entire game, 15-minute quarters. The players run up against each other and they do their thing. Now, Big Win Football uses exact same formation and just runs the same play over and over. I mean, it can occasionally run and it'll pass. I mean, variety what kind of play is happening, but it's the same formation every time. And then, of course, if you get close enough, it'll try for a field goal. But mine is going to have multiple formations, assuming when it's all done, and I'm not delusional in my hopes. But here's the thing: as much as I haven't done any of these coding bases I'm working on now, like Go and React. I didn't know React very well. I mean, I knew it better than I knew Go for sure. But I didn't know nothing about Mongo, which, by the way, I know very little about Mongo still, because I just have the AI help me create the interactions with the database, knowing that it's Mongo. It's cool that it's JSON based, which means I can create the seed data, which a lot of these are seed data, things that are going to have to exist in the database when it loads, right, when it first creates. So yeah, there's a lot of bits and pieces that I'm putting in that are going to be way more robust than Big Win Football, but that kind of simulation is what you're going to get. I'm going to add things that hopefully, maybe have some cool, maybe some cheerleaders on the sideline, which I was talking to the guy who actually worked on Big Win Football, or Super Tiny Football, and they have cheerleaders on there. I think it's cool. I want them to have an effect, though. See, for me, I want to have field actions that aren't related to the players that you can kind of do. Like maybe you can tap or implement an emoji response. Like you can have maybe you can earn fan reactions. So you can like say, oh, let's do certain actions on the screen. Maybe have a wave go, or trigger the wave, or trigger cheers, maybe using the cheerleaders, or maybe tap on a player and have him kind of wave at you, and all these things not only would have a visual response, but they would have a functional response. So maybe the morale of your team goes up a little bit. Maybe they're motivated, and I'm talking about small amounts. It's not going to totally tweak the game. You may or may not you'll get certain types of boosts. If you're just spamming it, you're not going to get it every time. I mean, that kind of thing. But if you do it at the right times and the right things, maybe that tweak gives your guys a little extra push, a little extra opportunity to succeed. And maybe in certain circumstances, it might actually help them maybe break or crack or get out of some of the other negatives that can happen. Like a guy can get into a funk in my game. They can reduce their morale, maybe if they're missing passes and they're not getting enough opportunities to correct it. Things can happen that could reduce their mojo. But maybe with some cheering and cheerleading, and maybe even with your little interacting with them, he might wake up a little bit, kind of become, snap out of his crap state and be able to perform better. That kind of thing. So I want your interactions on the screen to matter, but maybe not every single time, because I don't want it to become like you're just tapping and scramming and trying to do everything, and I don't want you tapping. I don't want you having to. In other words, if you don't do anything and you just sit the game in the background and let it run, you can still win. It's not like you have to, if your team is good and you've got a good game plan and you've got things set up well, it doesn't matter how much your opponent is doing all that stuff. It may help them on occasion. Maybe it makes the game a little closer, but ultimately the better team should win. But, it's never a guarantee, right? Things don't always go your way. Because I'm not just talking about picking up random plays. Your players have to earn them. Things have to happen in your favor, and it's going to come down to a lot of these route actions. These route actions are the hub of the game. These are the things that are going to be all the strategy and all the functionality, how your routes are built, and what your guys do. And then those route actions will have functions that go with them. So we've got all the different route actions here, and each one of these route actions has I gotta do the one here. Let's line up. But what this is going to do is have every one of the actions it has, your players have to respond. I didn't even know I was putting in IDs. 26, 27, 28. These will be all the little interactions that your players have to do when they're doing that action. They may have a move where they run into a defender and it has to check to see how well he fakes out the defender or what happens. Or if it is a defender, he moves in. His job is, does he get the block? Does he get a bump? Does he do anything there that the other player has to check for? Maybe when he does is he just going to run past him? Fine. Does he, how does the defender, how good is the defender at keeping with him? Now, there's things like speed that can take effect, right? So a lot of the actions of move, maybe they don't move quite as fast from point A to point B. I don't know. I gotta decide how all that stuff's gonna work, because right now it's just grid based. So if I had them all move the same grid space every time, that's not gonna work, right? Because some guys are faster than others. So some might actually move further in the grid. And this is where things get tricky. I got to figure out how to deal with speed. I haven't solved a lot of stuff in my brain as I go on. Okay, I'm constantly got things going on in the back of my head that are trying to decide. Okay, well, how is speed going to work? If a guy is moving down down the field and his grid action is to move a step, do I make his steps bigger? And if I am I really going to move one grid space? I can't really move one grid space. Or I have to do a test, like maybe his speed hinders him. Like maybe he's slower and he doesn't maybe advance on a grid. Maybe there's, I don't know. I got to figure out how I would implement a player's speed. If I've got players that range from, you got to figure all NFL players are probably a 70 to a 90 speed, right? Assuming 100 is the max, right? Nobody's going to be 100 because I try to set the max at a point where there's growth potential. I get Superman joins the NFL and he's going to get to 99, maybe 100, but nobody else, right? But again, it's going to come down to, I have calculators in there that balance all the players out on the same range. So if one guy is 99, everybody's a percentage of that based on whatever their skills and stats are from their play days. And then I got to figure out, how do I create fake players? Fake players are hard because you want them to be potentially similar as good as the actual players in the league. But we don't have base stats to work with, right? So I basically have to create a bunch of fake base stats so that these fake players can, be mixed in with all of the real players. And whether or not they're going to be they got to have their own, ability to improve. And I got to figure all that stuff out. But it's not a big deal. It's just stuff you got to put in, and then I'll probably have to do a lot of play testing. I'll probably have to create some automated unit testing that'll go through and test results based on all of my stats and see which ones are tweaking and which actions are failing more, or which ones are succeeding more. Is trying to tweak and adjust so that, and when I make an adjustment, it has to affect everybody, right? If I change something that tweaks the speed of a player, it's got to tweak all the players because they're all relationally adjusted. So you want your slowest player to still be able to do stuff. He can't be a 1, but you still need him to be fast enough to act on the field. But at the same time, you need to be able to adjust. So maybe like the slowest player only gets to move a grid every 3 grid steps. He's slow. Whereas the fastest player might move a full grid step. But the question is, what is the relational adjustment? Because you could have 15 different steps of speeds. Well, the slowest guy still needs to be too slow to catch up to the fastest guy. The second fastest guy is still slower than the fastest guy. So if they both have it set at 1 grid space, they're going to always be moving in sync, even though one guy should be pulling away or catching up, depending on where you are. So that's got to have I want to say a percentage chance to advance, but that's not really fair. I mean, bad rolls, your super fast guy's inching along because he's rolling bad, his odds. So you have to guarantee movements in a certain space. I'll be right back. I got a quick break. Okay, so I'm supposed to go DoorDash. I mean, I haven't scheduled it technically, but I should be going out and DoorDash in here. Let's see here. I guess I have to schedule my DoorDash. I have to do it. I hate doing it, but I'm not making any money. My thought is if my, this is one of the many by the Relaxed Movement. You can look up copyright-free music on YouTube. And you'll see, here. Trying to, I guess I have to schedule my DoorDash. I have to do it. I hate doing it, but I'm not making any money. My thought is if my, this is one of the many by the Relaxed Movement. You can look up copyright-free music on YouTube. You can look up copyright-free music on YouTube. and a bunch of options pop up, and a lot of them are by the same people, and they're like 12-hour runs, so you can actually put them on here and you know, try different ones. They're all kind of the same. They're all synth music, you know, synthesizer stuff that people put together. But there is not a lot of, I mean, it sounds pretty good. Some of them are a little jazzier. Some of them are just laid back. This one's not too bad though. I guess it's good. You don't want to get them too upbeat, too hype, because then it drowns you out because it's got too much stuff going on. So if you are streaming like me, it needs to be something that can kind of sit in the background without drowning you out. Okay, so I have myself scheduled to dash at 11:30. Ooh, goody! Go make my $15. I only dash for a couple of hours because it's such a bad income. I mean, really, it is so bad. But it's kind of like, it'll pay for us to eat out once or go to a movie once or do something. I mean, it's some kind of contribution, right? I feel like, am I running two things at once? I feel like there's two sounds going. Maybe this song just has some weird background sounds. No, I guess it just has some weird background sounds. See, there's a sound in there that sounds like it's another song going on. It's like it's not in sync with the top song. Protein bar. So forgive me for eating while I'm doing this. A reference to the formation is not really needed. Route assignments, links each player to a route, with all the needed information. The last step before you interrupted me, was this. Next time, can you please save your comments for after the show? It's like, whoa. Okay, he didn't say that, but he did say the last step before interruption. It's like, whoa, sorry, did I break your mojo? To embed the route details with route assignment, you approve the change but remove the formation embedding from the play message itself. Now defines route and route action messages, and route action includes an optional embedded route. Now includes position X, Y, and step fields play progression. Compiler error exists in rungame.go and runplay.go, but seems unrelated to our immediate goal and might be pre-existing. Yes, let's do that. Confirm code. Please confirm that you have run. Oh, I haven't run. Let's go run this. Okay, yes. Yes, code generation is complete. The lineup action typed is rack lineup. No. Yes, code generation is complete. The lineup action typed is rack start pause. No, it's just called lineup. The action type ID. Whoa. Oh, is a route action? I don't even know. Did I create it? What is the route action types? No, it's just rack 028. Yes. Make gen ran successful. But and the lineup action is actually numerical. All the other route actions are. It is rack 0 to 8. The lineup action is actually numerical. Route ID string, as all the other route actions are. It is rack 028. The name equals lineup. See, what is this? Current ask promise was ignored. What the heck does that mean? Oh, I ignored this because it wasn't, none of those were the right answer. I just told it. No, I was not born in '69. That's a little before my time. What are you trying to say? How old do you think I am? All right, what's it doing? All right, so well, I guess in a sense I did tell you exactly how old I was about 15 minutes ago. I told you my exact age. When we were talking about Fast and the Furious. Yeah. Very good. My birthday mostly follows the year. A year? One is you're born in the 60s. One is you're born in the 70s. One sounds way worse, way older. Somebody says I'm born in the 60s, even if it's 69, they go, wow. 70s, it's like, okay, well, we're getting to wow there too, but it's still, when compared to the 70s, it's a big difference. That's the difference. It's a different decade, man. You know, I actually considered during my unemployment, going to cop school to be a cop. But then I thought, I don't want to get shot. I mean, yeah, it's not that common. It really isn't that common from what I've heard. But, I mean, for, you know, that kind of stuff. But still. Well, because I think it's an honorable position, and cops are needed. They need cops. There's definitely a demand for cops. But there's a lot of hate nowadays. Cops don't get the respect they once did. You know, there's a lot of people out there who really just don't. It's a higher percentage than it used to be. Yeah, I know. That's another good reason. And I know I'm healthy enough and fit enough to do it. I mean, I could, you know, I'm as strong as just about anybody I know in their 20s and 30s. I know. I mean, yes, there's people stronger than me. I'm not telling you that. But I'm just saying, in the general sense of people who are fit, I know a lot of people who are fit who aren't as fit as I am. You know, I can run long distances. I can lift heavy weight. I can do all that stuff. And I'm in pretty good shape. And so I could do it if I wanted to. Assuming age isn't actually a blocker in that industry. I don't think it is. I mean, I think it isn't up to the point of it is. So it's like, I think, 60s, they probably aren't going to consider you. But, you know, go be a cop for a while. I think it's a good profession. Maybe I'm just, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of shape you're in. If you get shot, you're going to take it. And so maybe I'm just being chicken. I don't know. But I think it's a good profession. I thought about even trying to be a fireman. I thought that would be kind of interesting. You know, certain shows, TV shows out there like Chicago Fire, imply that you can be a fireman for a long time, even when you're older. Yeah, I don't know, buddy. I wouldn't be too confident you could beat me, unless you're a bodybuilder. Which, yeah, I can't beat a bodybuilder. But you'd be surprised at just how much this older guy would be, how difficult it would be to beat me. I know a lot of young people in their 20s. I can whoop them in bench press quantity as well as weight. I can whoop them in running, distance, maybe not sprinting. I have never been a fast sprinter. I'll tell you right now. When I was in high school, I was considered slow. I mean, I wasn't the slowest by any means. When I ran track, I ran the 2 mile. And I was probably out of 30 kids who ran the 2 mile, I was the top 3 or 4 runners. But the guys who were ahead of me were way ahead of me. And then, but for sprinting, I was very middle of the pack. There'd be like several people who could run, 10 to 12 seconds for a 100-yard dash. At my fastest in high school, I was probably maybe 13-second 100-yard dash, maybe. Nowadays, I can't do 13. My best one lately is 17, so I'm about 4 seconds slower. But I never do sprints, and when I go do sprinting, which I do a couple times a year, I get really sore, even though I run a lot, but I run distance. Half marathons, that kind of thing. It does kind of feel like the end of a movie. Now that you say that, yeah, it does kind of sound like the end of a movie. Summer of '69. That does sound familiar. I know Hotel California says we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. I think was one of the references. So 69 comes up a lot in movies, or songs. But the summer of '69. It sounds familiar. I probably would know it if I heard it. I think I know which one you're talking about. My mind is trying to put the lyrics together, but I think I know which one you're talking about. Hold on, I'm replying to my wife. All right. Sorry, I gotta respond when the wife texts. Walking down the beaches, looking at the peaches, a line from the song. Okay. It's quite possible I don't remember that line of a familiar song. But when you hear it, you're like, oh. It's kind of like, what's the song? I can't remember it either, but the song is, I really like your peaches, I want to shake your tree, or something like that. And that's an old song too. But yeah, there's some, even old songs have their. But you know, old songs would say stuff like that. You know, they kind of beat around the bush. They kind of okay. I don't know what that was, but old songs would like use random references. Nowadays, current songs, they don't even bother with things like peaches and melons or whatever. They just say it. Your breasts make me feel so good. You know, it's like they put a little hip hop in there. They drowned it out with some fast talking. Maybe they didn't notice it. You know, or they'll just say it like what's that their song? I don't even want to say it on. It's a phrase something about my wet AP. It's like, I bet you there's countries that would just like, no, we're not doing that. But in the U.S., man, we have songs that. There's a comedian online. A lot of people really got upset about an old 1960s Christmas song. Baby, It's Cold Outside. And they were all getting mad and they wanted to cancel it, you know, cancel culture. And there's a comedian online that was comparing that song, which made a lot of innuendo, a lot of stuff, but it was really, they said it's creepy, blah, blah, blah. And then he was comparing it to my wet AP. And oh my gosh, the words are so bad, but yet it was like the #1 song the same year that cancel culture went after Baby It's Cold Outside. And you're like listening to the lyrics and you're like, what is wrong with people? You're complaining about this, but this is your #1 song. Now granted, it's not the same people it's the same people who complain about one probably hate the other one as well. And the people who made one #1 probably could care less about the other, right? So it's not the same people making these happen, but it was kind of like, on the whole, as a society, we got issues, man. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. And you know, even the US used to be very conservative as far as what was allowed in, you know, movies and TV and you know, you wouldn't hear things like that. It was the radio used to block all that crap, or you know, you couldn't put these kind of words on the radio. But now it's like it's like they don't even bother anymore. They don't even bother checking in these. Now granted, a lot of songs still get on the radio anyway, a lot of songs still get kind of, what do you call it, filtered. So there is a radio safe version. But they still, people like Forget You, remember by Leroy Green or something Green. I can't remember his name. He did Forget You, but it wasn't called Forget You. It was F You. But the radio version was Forget You. And Forget You became a huge hit. But the album version was not Forget You. And it's kind of like, yeah, that song became a huge hit, but it wasn't the actual version of the song. Well, it becomes the job of the streaming service to do the moderation, right? And Twitch and YouTube both have their rules, but you know, I don't know. It's the U.S. What's weird about the U.S. is we're very sexually strict here in the U.S. services and movies and everything are a lot more. I mean, it's starting to kind of become less so, but sexually strict, meaning that you're not allowed to have this or that nudity and that kind of action and whatever going on. But violence and language are becoming more and more and more and more. I mean, just crazy. They're just going over the top. I mean, the movies are way over in the violence and there's just so much more. And we're just a lot more, I guess, I want to say prudish sexually, which is to me such a weird thing, right? Now, like in Europe, it's kind of the opposite. They have huge restrictions on violence. I mean, it's like you can't have certain this, you can't have that. And watching a movie that's from Europe is actually kind of, for me, it's actually kind of enjoyable. I mean, if it's a good movie, bad movies are bad movies, who cares? But if it's a good movie, I actually like them more because you're not going to get all that crap over the top violence. I mean, yeah, you can have a cop movie that's a good movie, or TV show, whatever, that doesn't need all the over the top violence. We get it. The guy was shot. All right. Yeah, we can tell by the angle of the gun he was probably shot in the head, but we don't need to see the gun splatter. We don't need all that. And I don't have a problem. Personally, I think the sexual is at least non-violent, as long as it's not violent sexual. I mean, that's different, but that's still violence. And to me, violence is violence. And it's not that I'm a prude against violence. I watch a lot of action movies. There's violence, and I don't know if I become numb to the violence. I just think it's unnecessary, the excessive junk. So, I just don't think. I would think the sexual stuff would be less irritating. I mean, at least it's non-violent. It's friendly. It's a positive emotion, a positive experience generally, as long as I said it's not a violence-related thing. But the U.S. is just like, oh, violence, just don't put anything really racy on the screen. It's like, what? What would you rather people become numb to? Sex? Or murder? I think there's a problem there. Our sense of what is okay, you see a lot of something, you become numb to it. What's the more dangerous thing to be numb to? Violence or sex? I don't think being numb to sex is that bad, because, okay, so you're accepting that it exists and that people are doing it. But is it okay to accept that murder exists and that it just happens? And then on the same thing, with sex, you're showing people doing something that is not worldly despised. The action itself, if people are doing that, you're like, okay, fine. If people get an idea of sex, they're like, well, okay, well, that's, something they're going to learn anyway. But with murder and violence, a lot of people don't have that stuff in their head. It's not natural. And do you really want to give people those ideas? Why are you putting these things in people's heads? There are people, it may be a small, hopefully a very small percentage, but still a small percentage of people that you really hope don't see this stuff, because they're going to go, ooh, good idea. It's like, you don't want to put stuff in people's heads. And like all this true crime junk, my wife's big on true crime TV shows. I don't get it. I don't watch them. I don't like the way they make me feel. I can't do anything about it. I just hate the cops being so dumb. I hate that these guys are doing that. And I don't see any point in watching these shows. There's no redeeming quality in watching what these murderers and serial killers and whatever did. There's nothing. I can't do anything about it. I can't have any injection into it. All they're doing is showing you, hey, look what this guy did. And he did all this terrible stuff. And these inept cops couldn't get him until finally some less inept cop figured it out. Or you hope somebody figured it out. And that's just frustrating stuff to watch. I don't get it. I don't understand why people like that stuff. It doesn't make any sense to me. why? What are you gaining from watching that stuff? Just seeing what rotten people did? I don't want to know what rotten people are doing. I want rotten people to just not be there. I want to pretend like they don't exist. I know they exist, but if I'm not in the cop industry, I'm not a lawyer to put them in jail. I'm not a detective. I'm not in the area. There's nothing I can do about it. Then I don't want to see it. I don't want to have. I want to be oblivious to it. I'm sorry. I don't want it in my head. I don't want those images in my head. It just makes you feel like crap. And I don't feel the same way about sexual things. And I'm talking about, normal, common, whatever people think sex is, but I'm just saying in general, I don't feel as awkward or bad about it because it's something people do, right? It's the norm. It's a thing people do. It's a natural thing usually. For the most part, most common versions of it are natural and normal. But it's like you don't feel. Okay, you're like, you might feel a little awkward because it's on TV because your brain is saying this is not something you normally see on TV. But you can watch violence and everybody's like, whatever, because we see it on TV all the time. That is the wrong stuff to be numb to. We should be shocked. We should be like, whoa, I don't want to watch this show. It's too much crap. Who needs that in their head for go to bed tonight and have that going on? Yeah, I don't know. Just saying. There's my 2 cents about where movies are right now. Maybe I'm a prude. I don't know. Is it prudish to think the violence is over the top? All right, run play. Let's go here. I should automatically put that stuff in. I was just hearing bumping and stuff going on upstairs. Like, who's upstairs? But I forgot we have Roomba. Our Roomba runs on Tuesdays. It's up and it runs at 11, so it's probably Roomba bouncing off the walls. I didn't notice that it did that. Dang it. It's so hard to catch all the little weirdness as it does. Alright. I gotta go here. And I gotta go find... Why is it... See, I don't understand why it does this. Alias for playbook protos, assuming some package is passed for now. But it's the same. I don't like it. I'm just gonna change this to PB. Doesn't need to be a different name. This is a protein bar, thank you very much. 21 grams of protein. And a decently low calorie drink. It's only got 80 calories, and it's a 16-ounce kickstart. So I don't think it's that far off. And my other drink I was eating earlier was a muscle milk, which was another 25 grams of protein. So that's what I've eaten today. A protein bar, a protein drink. I'm washing it down with my kickstart. So I don't consider it necessarily eating a bunch of junk. And I needed the kickstart because, to be honest, I normally don't really eat on stream, but normally. I mean, I do it sometimes, but especially if I eat like right after noon, because I have to do something if I'm streaming. But I was feeling nauseous earlier, to be honest. When I first logged on, I was feeling weird. I was starting to... Thing is, I swam 1,600 meters today. And I felt pretty good, but when I got home, well, I'm not a cook, man. I'm not a cook. I should cook more, but I don't cook. My wife cooks. She cooks some pretty good stuff. She cooks chicken and rice, which is, you know, most bodybuilders. If you ever look at it, bodybuilders, I'm not a bodybuilder, but I'm fitness oriented. Most fitness diets, like the most common thing you'll see on a list of fitness diets, chicken and rice. Just chicken and rice will be on everybody's list. Now, usually there's broccoli in there, and then there's also other things. But chicken and rice are on everybody's diet list. So I eat a lot of chicken and rice. I like, one of my favorite things is Trader Joe's has like a teriyaki, not teriyaki, a mixed vegetables thing. It's just broccoli and carrots and a bunch of stuff. And it has like a, I don't know, some kind of sauce packet. It might be a soy sauce packet, so it's probably a lot of sodium. It might, or it might be teriyaki. Either way, it's probably still a lot of sodium. But it's a really good, nice vegetable set. It's a lot of good vegetables in there. And it tastes really good with rice. So I'll eat that, and then I'll make a... This is what I cook because it's easy to cook. And then I'll have like a 3-ounce chicken or 6 ounces of chicken, whatever I feel like that day. Then I'll mix it in with it. Or salmon. I love to eat salmon or tilapia. Those are my favorite meals for, you know, healthy stuff. Well, it really comes down to what the sauce is, right? Chicken and rice by itself is just chicken and rice. But if you put teriyaki sauce, it's Korean? Teriyaki is Korean, right? Or is it Japanese? I don't know. But if you put like a biryani sauce or whatever, it's Indian? I think. A biryani is Indian, right? I don't know where these originate from. But, you know, it just depends on what sauce are you putting in your chicken and rice. If you're putting like a cream sauce, that's probably American, because Americans like their cream sauce. It could be Italian, but it's probably not rice. If it's Italian, it's probably more like a noodles of some kind, right? So yeah, there's different things you can mix in there, but rice is actually a really good. I think it's because it's considered not real high calorie, but rice is really just like, it's kind of a nothing food. I don't even know that it has a lot of, it'll fill you up, but it doesn't have a lot of calories, doesn't have a lot of anything in it. I think that's why it's good, because it tastes good with your primary foods, like the chicken or the vegetables or whatever you're putting in there. Now, I know a lot of, you know, different countries use different cream sauces. So when I say a cream sauce, that might be American. It's usually like a white cream sauce, kind of like almost like a fettuccine thing, but that's noodles. But I'm just saying that kind of sauce, thick white sauces tend to be American. Thick, like spicy sauces might be Indian or Thai or something of that nature. You get more of the the creamy yellow sauces and such like that. But I like them all. I like them all. I'm pretty flexible with the sauces. I don't really like the real creamy ones though, because they tend to be a lot higher in calorie. Indian food has a lot of spices. A lot of them are good. Sometimes they're kind of. I'm not a huge fan of all Indian food, but some Indian food is pretty good. Well, yeah, but I'm just saying it's not as. It's like noodles are more carbs than rice, but it's also a little heavier, and I think it's higher calorie than rice. I mean, everything has carbs that isn't like meat. You know, if it isn't meat, it's probably got carbs. It's pretty much how it works. So maybe vegetables, I guess, don't have a lot of carbs in them either. They have some, but it's hard to. I mean, carbs are kind of a high. That's why when I always wonder, how do people eat a non-carb diet? I mean, I like meat and I can live off of protein, but not constantly. I need something in there. And protein by itself, although it gives you energy, you need those complex carbs. You need that. I like pasta personally. I'm a pasta guy. I love pasta, but you got to be careful with it, right? I like red sauce because it's lower in calorie. It's less caloric. Cream sauces are fine in taste, but I always feel like, ugh, it's too much. It's too much. I always feel like it's too much fattening. That makes sense. Makes sense. Like, I don't need double. This can go away. All right. Well, I gotta go DoorDash. Gotta go make $15. My thought is, one of these days, if my stream ever makes $15 a day. What is that going to take? What is it going to take for me to make $15 a day? That's a lot, really. I guess that's probably asking too much. I mean, I'd have to have thousands and thousands of subscribers to consistently make $15 a day. Because you'd have to have 30 people doing $15 a month to average $15 a day. That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, I don't foresee that happening. I don't know. How do people make money on a stream? You have to get up to having 500,000 people. I think you can start making significant money on a stream if you have 500,000 followers. So this weekend, I'm gonna put a goal on my stream, and I'm gonna say, goal is 500,000, which means I have a realistic shot. I only need 499,850. It's doable. Think I can get that in a weekend? Oh man. Alright, this stream was too long anyway. I'm trying to get my streams to be 2 hours or less just so that I can edit them and do stuff with them. And I didn't do anything useful on this stream. Well, a little bit, but if I were to filter this down to the actual work I did, it would be like a 5-minute stream. But I did do some chat about AI and how to use it, so I guess that's 15 minutes of usable stuff. But beyond that, I definitely have some editing to do for videos. I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon at 3, so I won't be back until 4ish, which means my late afternoon stream will be shorter than usual. Probably only from 4 to 6 or so, unless I can convince my wife to go do a Tuesday movie, which are cheaper on Tuesdays. Beyond that, I might be back again tonight, starting usually around 8:30, and depending on how the evening goes, and do another hour. Sometimes I don't log back on though, because I do like to heads down it for a while. And I haven't heads down today my work at all, so we'll see. Till next time, Ariano and Wrinkly Fruit guys, thanks for stopping by, saying hi, giving me